Okay, we are on the 150 grouping of restricted, and there are some important pieces in this section. So some of it we just whipped through, and some of it we're going to talk a little bit more about. The only real things to talk about on this one, on the Anaconda, is that it is ported. Mechanically, it is exactly what you would expect because it is virtually new. It does have some usage. It has, got the usual, I didn't quite clean my revolver thing going on there, but mechanically I've already indexed to it, and so it's a really nice, so 44 Magnum with the porting, factory porting. I assume factory porting, don't quote me on that. 150 Bravo on the Python from 1992. Stainless steel, polished stainless. This has got an exceptionally nice trigger. A little bit of a cylinder ring, so it's not like we're not allowed to rotate it. I mean, we're allowed to rotate any of them, and technically they are here to get used, but firearms are to get used. But the cylinder is clean as a whistle, like it's never been used. And there's a little bit of discoloration in there that it hasn't been used, or is that just a bit of whatever? It's possible that there's been nary a round through it, but don't quote me on that. But there has been virtually no rounds through it. I think we can say that. Charlie, oddly enough, is this beautiful 1982 engraved and gilded piece, has had the cylinder rotated. Doesn't look like it's affected any of the gilding, but there is, you can see in the valley where it's just touched there. I'm not about to start doing that for obvious reasons, but what an awesome piece that one is. And that is on the Charlie lot. On Delta, I have to refamiliarize myself with this one. This is a Norinco, not necessarily an older piece, I don't think. I don't think it has a bunch of usage on it. It's a price point, I guess, piece to start with. A little bit of storage rust. I guarantee that was put away with a bit of schmuttum on there and then left to get a little bit rusty. But that might come out with a bit of your oils and some love. So I think that's pretty much what you see is what you get. I don't think it's had much miles. And it considered to be low miles, that's for sure. This one's interesting because it's Norwegian. The pictures are the right place to show you this as opposed to the video. But it's got the Norwegian markings on there, and they have it in 11.25 millimeter, which is in fact 45 ACP. Mechanically, and this has got enough matching numbers on it, so a 1926 stamp on it. Again, the video is not the place to talk about the matching numbers. That's for more the description and the still videos, but I can't help it. Because again, I am, for lack of a better word, I'm kind of smitten with this one. Mechanically, I like it. It all seems to be quite nice. Kind of what you see is what you get, with it all being still together as the matching numbered piece, and not ridiculously worn. I mean, the grip, the checkering is worn, but it's not overworn. I think it's original finish, and so you can see the markings on from the thumb use on the slide release and on the safety. A little bit of holster wear, but mechanically, I think this is a really nice piece. And you can sort of hear it and feel it. I don't know if you can hear it and feel it in the video. I have not yet to watch any of these that we're filming, so I don't know what to think about them. 150 Foxtrot. Okay, technically, it is a U.S. Army, stamped U.S. Army. I think the frame is probably the only original part, though. So, and even that has got a heavy black finish on it. So it's been, the frame is original to that, and that's how it's registered because the frame is the registered part. So, but if somebody did put it together, they did seem to kind of know what they were doing. It sort of locks up and unlocks quite positively. Triggers to feels nice. Let's check the safety. So there's the thumb safety. There's so that's together. So it's possibly something that is kind of a nice little conversation piece. But do sort of just be cognizant that it is a frame is the only original part to that. Cold Ace 22, factory 22 caliber 1911 style anyhow. And from 1936 is the date we have on there. So this is a really nice, mechanically, this is really nice. I own one of these myself, and I would venture to say that this is quite a bit nicer mechanically than mine. Mine's a different finish. Mine's a more matte finish. I'm not sure why. Normal wear on the front there, so it has had use. You don't get that worn off without it being handled. But I don't feel any issues with it. I mean, it's still even for a 22 for it to lock back with the magazine. I think it's pretty impressive. So let's check the safety at the risk of dropping a 22 hammer. There we go. So we'll just stop that. I think that mechanically you can buy this one with confidence as well. My opinion, I think one of the creams of the sale, this Python. When we cataloged it, I think I said probably somebody's duty piece. I mean, it's got holster usage as much as you're likely to see in any sort of situation. That's been in and out of a holster quite a bit. Mechanically is fantastic. You can see that same consistency. So it's been in multiple different cylinder positions and then in and out of the holster. But the thing is, this is literally serial number 14. This is the 14th Python come off the assembly line back in the mid-50s. And I think that just makes it fantastic. The 14th. One would have to assume, I would assume that lot number 1 went to the president and lot number 2 went to, a Python aficionado probably already knows these, and maybe I'm making a fool of myself, but I think I would assume that the first few ended up in dignitary hands. So is this maybe the 10th one that ended up in circulation? I don't know. But all these years later, and this trigger is like, and the lockup on that is as good or better than any brand new quality revolver that you're going to get off an assembly line today after all these years. So, to me, one of the best pieces in the whole sale, being a revolver guy, not to put this into necessarily second place, this is virtually the same firearm, and it's serial number 610. So it's still very early in the history of the Python. So it's the second year over, 1956. One might say, well, hey, maybe they're a little bit better because they learned a little bit. I don't know. Lockup, awesome. Like brand spanking new. It's got less miles on it in far as the holster going in and out of the holster, but mechanically, I would venture to say that they are the same. Maybe this one wasn't as much a duty piece as the other one has. I believe the history of being a service revolver. This one may not have been. That doesn't mean I know anything. I'm just speculating. But both fantastic pieces, and both mechanically fantastic. So not just old, but excellent quality. Excellent quality. And then we go into a newer one. This is a Target or a Silhouette, they call it. Python Silhouette 357 Magnum. So much newer. Do we have it dated? 74. Still older. Has the little notches there where it's sort of got the provisions for putting an optic on it. And a little bit of a cylinder ring. Hardly any holster or handling use. So, all things considered, this thing is in really nice condition. And mechanically, lockup and indexing and double and single action trigger, there's nothing to say that would be disparaging. And so we'll just move on. On this stainless of the same basic idea, it's longer barrel on this one. We have it dated 1992, so this is years later. This one still has the protective ring inside there. Boy, I'll tell you, if it's had a round through it, put it this way, if somebody could tell me definitively there's not been a round through it, I would not be surprised. That's how good a condition that piece is, and the indexing is awesome. There's nothing to say that would be, oh, and by the way, this is an issue. There's nothing, so we won't waste your time on that one. On Romeo, same idea again, big long piece, but this one's in polished stainless. And 1991, so virtually the same era. And one or two, I shouldn't say one or two rounds through it. That's just asking for trouble. But it may as well be one or two rounds through it. It is virtually new. And I'm using that term over and over again because it keeps being the truth over and over again on this collection. So again, bidding with confidence is the point we're trying to make on that one. On Sierra, satin stainless on this one, 1992. A whole bunch of them from the early 90s. This one's got a bit more of a cylinder ring. Still has the protective cap. A little bit more evidence of being used, but certainly no evidence of being abused. A little bit more dirt in there. And I mean, obviously ones that get completely cleaned properly, you might say, oh my goodness, it hasn't been used. But there's usually that telltale. A little bit of a cylinder ring there. Again, I've already been through this. Mechanically, it is wonderful. Indexing, wonderful. You know, the 1955 version, certainly as good. So again, bidding with confidence on that one. Tango on the new service. This is a 1915 dated piece, but you can see, I think, by looking, certainly by the still photos, it's been redone. And I don't know what process. And these are like a full mother of pearl handle on there. And it's quite a heavy bluing style finish that's on it, and quite shiny. So I don't know what the process was on that one. Let's check about mechanically though. So single action. I think that first time it didn't seem, yeah, see, it doesn't quite lock up there. Sometimes it doesn't quite index. Yeah, so I would definitely gunsmith this one before I would shoot it, because you don't want that cylinder to be not quite lined up when you pull that trigger, because that's just that's how you just get a whole lot of lead spewing out the side. Yeah, see that one there? Didn't quite index. So sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. So just, I'm sure it can be, you know, it can be made a little bit safer, but I would just, it's not that it's not that dangerous. You just end up with spewing lead out the side. So, and I don't want to make it sound like you're going to get, you know, into big trouble. Uniform and Victor, there's a couple of pieces that you don't see, and they're the same but different. So this one is Uniform. And these are the Camp Perrys, and the date is kind of hard to see, but I think these are all from the 20s, 30s, somewhere along that line. And they were sort of a, hey, it looks like a revolver from a distance, but it's not. If you look at it straight, it doesn't actually stick. This is, and then you think, oh, it's a two-shot. No, it's actually a single shot. So it's not a revolver. It's a single shot handgun, and it's strictly for target. And to aid in its accuracy, of course, the chamber and cylinder are all one piece. And this was for a very specific type of target competition back in the day that would have been, you know, slow shooting accuracy type thing. This one is in exceptionally good condition. There's a tiny little bit of storage. Same idea, because that's where it gets handled as far as your thumb juices get put on there, and then it gets put away without getting cleaned. You see there's no double action. It's a single action firearm, not revolver, firearm. So is it a pistol? Is it a, doesn't matter what it is, I'm being silly. But this one is in like fantastic condition. It locks up tight. And like I say, they were one piece for accuracy. I guess the only thing they could have added accuracy is if they could have somehow made the rear sight as one piece with it. But these are a neat historical piece for that reason. Victor is the same idea. I'm not sure, maybe it's a little bit older or something. And I think the condition is very similar to it, but it looks to me like that front sight got a replacement at some point. So did it, it was a different type than the other one to start with. This one doesn't have a V-tail or a V-notch in there, dovetail in there. It just has a attached on permanently. This one's notched. I don't know, maybe that's how, I assume that's how it was, but that sight looks replaced to me. Otherwise, again, it's in there snug. It's a single action only. They are just so neat, and to have two in one sale is really impressive. So the mechanical part on both of them, awesome. The only thing is the front sight on that one. You're going to want to look into that a little bit more. On whiskey, I actually just, whoever's the high bidder on this thing right now, 150 whiskey, I just added part to the description. So this is a conversion. This would have originally been a percussion sent back to the factory for factory conversion to a centerfire. Now, what I had just added, because I was just getting ready to do the video, and I was just going through just so I can familiarize myself. See how I didn't quite index? So then it won't lock. So you index it and then it locks. So, and it's not like it's every 5th time. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So you can't even put it in divisions of the 5-cylinder, the 5-shot. So I don't know what to say. It's just every now and again it does that. So, but otherwise, it's a nice representation. There's some of the original plating is left. There's all presumably factory engraving and all there. So for the most part, I think that's a nice representation. But you do have that, and they're always a little bit on the loose side. These are not new, but you do have that one issue that I did want to bring to your attention. On X-ray, let's refresh my memory on this one. This one's loose, I remember. See that? It indexes consistently each time, but it never really locks up tight. I'd have to have another one beside me to say, oh yeah, no, here's another one that is better. And I'm pretty sure I've had one in my hand before that wasn't like that. We don't have a date on this one, but it is the 1878 model. And but it's a good-looking patina. And the indexing is consistent. It does index each time, and it does double and single each time. I've been through all of that. It's just that when you are locked up, it's a bit sloppy, that's all. So that's the only thing I need to mention on that one. The next two are virtually new. This one here on the single action has a cylinder ring. It's been cycled through its share of times. It is a Colt brand, not the line. Yeah, it's a Colt brand. So you got that quality there. It almost looks like it's hardly been used, if ever been used. But no, I'm sure it's been used. I think that it's got more handling use than it's ever had firing range use. I think we just had a little slight hiccup there, but nothing to speak of. So it indexes. It's only single action, of course. So quite nice. But that, I think most of that markings on there are from handling, just like I was sitting there watching the TV, handling your firearm. And less about being at the range. The last one, and again, we've covered that before, where one of my favorites is the 686-586. And this one is no exception to that. I'm getting into the habit of pulling the cylinder release because I've been handling so many Colts, even though most of my experience is with Smith and pushing forward. So it has had use, but very little use. And indexing, I've already been through it. So I'm just showing you what I already know, pretty much. Double and single action trigger is really quite nice. Better than average, to be honest. And so you can bid on this one with confidence. I know this is only the Lot 150 series, or grouping, but I think it's actually the last of the handguns, and we'll start editing and get that handled. And then we're going to get started on the rifles and the antiques. We haven't done those either. So anyhow, let's get this put away and we'll do some more.